I'm the Modern Therapist JD, and you're listening to a Modern Man podcast presented to you by the Modern Podcast Network and the Modern HQ. Welcome back to the pod. I want to thank you for wherever you may be listening. Today, we're going to jump right into it. We're talking about accommodation. What is accommodation? Is it the place you stay? Is it what you're doing? Is this verb? Is this noun? Accommodation, and what we're going to talk about it in the aspect today, is, as they say, the process of adjusting or adapting to someone or something. And when we look at accommodation in the peripheral, it's usually a good thing. Accommodation is code switching. It's how we're maneuvering into a new environment, how we're performing, how we're adapting, as they say. Accommodation is survival. If you're in the prison system, you're starting to accommodate. That's a survival instinct. If you're a PWO, prisoner of war, you're accommodating. If you're an immigrant in a new country, you're accommodating. It's survival. Navigating a family, constantly accommodating. Father accommodating the mother, the son accommodating the sister, the son accommodating the mother accommodating the children. It is how you navigate these family structures. You have to be constantly accommodating. Is this a good thing in the peripheral? Just think of being on a team. Let's talk about basketball, point guard, center, the scorer, things like that. The point guard has to accommodate for the better scorer, making sure they're getting the better score of the ball. The center has to accommodate if they're not the best scorer and make sure I'm playing defense, getting rebounds, and letting the scorer, as the kids say, cook and accommodate and play defense and get rebounds. This is how a team wins. This is a skill. It is a skill to accommodate. Accommodation can become a problem. Very much so. We enter the stage of problematic accommodation when accommodation starts to encroach on your values. And think of it. If you love joy, if you love laughing, if this is a big core value of yours, and now you're accommodating other people, other family, other friends, other partners, you stop watching comedies, you stop going to comedy shows, you stop having this joy of laughter. That's when accommodation becomes problematic. What if you value dressing up to nice dinners, going out to these nice restaurants? That's a value of yours. That's something you really enjoy. And your friends, your partner, these people in your lives don't value that. You're constantly accommodating them that you realize you're not doing this thing you enjoy anymore. And going out to these nice restaurants and enjoying these nice evenings out. Accommodation is encroaching on your values. That is when it becomes problematic. Someone like me, I value autonomy. I value independence. When now me accommodating starts to infringe, starts to encroach on those values, that is when I'm doing problematic accommodation in my personal life, in my professional life, or in any other aspect. Being aware of this is so important, that we need accommodation. We need it to code switch. We need it to survive. We need it to navigate family. We need it to be on a team. It's an asset. It's a skill. But when we start to accommodate so much that is encroaching on our values, that is a problematic accommodation. And we have to realize that we are participating in that, and that it is our position to change that, because we are accommodating. But then we think of, okay, why am I accommodating? Yes, I'm the one doing these things. Yes, I'm the one adapting and adjusting to something or someone. But why am I doing these things? And I'm going to speak to 6 different areas that we get pressure to lean into problematic accommodation. And just as a clinician, I like to tell my clients to speak from the point of view of I, especially in couples counseling, really want to speak to the point of I, not in generalizations. So a lot of times on this podcast, I'm really going to do that self-disclosure, which I don't do a whole lot in session, but give a little bit of from the perspective of I. If I'm encouraging and telling everyone else to speak from a position of I, I'm going to speak from a position of I. So the areas I'm going to go over where I have maybe been tempted or maybe lean into areas of problematic accommodation are systemic or the patriarchy. There's family and cultural pressure to accommodate. We have social, like our friends, that pressure to accommodate. There's the internal pressure to accommodate. There's our partner's expectations for us to accommodate. And then there's just a phase of life, like life transitions, that overall pressure to accommodate. So I'm going to go through these 6 different areas where I face these areas to have problematic accommodation, and maybe areas I've struggled, and having that awareness and seeing like, okay, this may have or may encroach on my values. So maybe I shouldn't accommodate in that space. So speaking to the first one, the systemic, the patriarchal pressure to accommodate. This is, I value helping people. I value looking out for others. I value the elderly. But the system, this pressure, oh, old white women are afraid of you. Old white men are scared of you. Oh, they see you, especially in a city like Chicago, as this person who's going to rob them, harm them. So I see a sweet old lady who maybe needs a little guidance, a little protection crossing the street. I see her carrying heavy groceries or maybe need me to take the cart back. But I have this systemic, this patriarchal pressure of, oh, she's going to be afraid of me. Oh, she thinks this of me. So the value of me helping an elderly, the value of me wanting to respect those and help others that are in need of assistance, I'm encroaching and infringing on this value. So me accommodating her because of this patriarchal and systemic pressure is encroaching on my values. So I got to have this awareness. If I really value helping people, if I really value this, then fuck the accommodations of whatever this patriarchal or systemic pressure says about a black man. I'm going to help this woman or this man. Next, we have that family or cultural. And this one I'm going to kind of mingle into one. I have family and cultural pressure from different levels of different family and different levels of the culture telling me that being a black man with a master's degree, I then need to be with a black woman of a master's degree or higher. There's this family or cultural pressure to maintain black excellence, to perform black excellence, to only instill black excellence in me, myself, my child, and my offspring. And again, if the value of finding this partner who meets all these systemic things, all these quotas, all checks all these boxes, but that person themselves encroaches on my values and what I want in a partner, that is me accommodating to this family or cultural pressure that isn't fulfilling to me, that isn't helping me succeed. Next, we have socially. Socially, I'm a very active man, a black man, I say it many times. I play with lots of sports, basketball, football, and a lot of my men, 80% of the men I play with, don't talk about emotions, don't talk about their feelings, don't feel comfortable, don't think that's the space. If I'm then accommodating to them and these social pressures of men in this space don't talk about emotions, don't get emotional, don't talk about their feelings, I'm accommodating to them. But in my value, men are honest, men are vulnerable. Men go there for community. Men go there to share that space with each other. So I'm accommodating to them but that is infringing on my values. So ask anyone. I'm probably the most emotional, talking the most, doing the most, always on the court, because I want to give that space for anyone, any man, in any situation with lots of testosterone. It's okay to be a little vulnerable, to be a little emotional, to be a little chaotic. We got you. We got you. You don't need to socially accommodate, because what they want men to be in those settings, be yourself, be authentic to you and your values. This internal pressure that I'm going through right now to constantly accommodate is the internal pressure of always be working, always be grinding, always be doing something. Because when you're sleeping, someone else is working. So this internal self, this internal is saying, no, you'll always have to be working. You don't have time to rest. You don't have time to sleep. So I'm accommodating that internal self to just always be grinding, to always be working. But my value is self-care. My value is rest. Same thing when it comes to your professional life. Same thing as athletically. Recovery is so important. Mental recovery is so important. So this is infringing on my value of recovery and self-care and taking time to rest. Even though the internal pressure is, boy, you got to grind, because if you're not grinding, somebody is. If you want to be great, somebody's being greater. So this is the internal pressure to just grind. But that is infringing on my value of recovery, my value of rest, my value of self-care, my value of abundance and a long lasting. So this is when I have to have this awareness. And it comes up all the time. It comes up all the time. But this is problematic accommodation. All right, now we're going to talk about a time with partners' expectations. Just because I'm a clinician doesn't mean I'm exempt from a partner's pressures and a partner's expectations, allowing me to maybe accommodate. And this was a previous situation. I've had partners who wanted me to, not me, that something they value is a partner who courts them, and through the courting process pays for all the dates, pays for Ubers, pays for any expense to spend time with them. And I've been caught in this cycle of accommodating that. I know that this makes them happy, so I'm accommodating and paying for all these things, doing all these things, even though this infringes on my values. I value a partnership. I value someone who can do what I can do for them for themselves, regardless of if I can do it. It's just a value of mine that they do these things for themselves. I don't mind doing these things for them and just unconsciously doing them, but it does infringe on my value to make it the standard to do these things, because I value someone who does these things for themselves. So I've been caught in this cycle of accommodating a partner to doing what they want and not understanding that these are things that I don't want to do and I don't value, regardless of whether I can or cannot. It's just whether I value these things or not. The last pressure where we may lean into problematic accommodation I'm going to talk about today is the phase of life transitions. So if you think of me, someone my age right now, the current phase of life pressure is to settle down. A lot of peers, a lot of people, definitely I'm from the South, so many people almost a decade ago have already been settling down. But a lot of people in my phase of life are getting married and on to having kids. So me trying to accommodate this phase of life transition, definitely trying to overdate, trying to get into a relationship, trying to make a partner work who maybe isn't quite right for me, getting into relationships that don't suit me, that don't help me thrive. But if I value friendship, intimacy, and partnership, I'm accommodating myself and my values. Sorry, I'm accommodating this phase of life by infringing on my values of friendship, my values of intimacy. These things don't feel right. I should not be accommodating. I should not be accommodating to my phase of life. Just because I'm in this current life transition, this current phase, does not mean I should be accommodating it if it does not fit me and if it infringes on my values. So I want us all to take some time there and think about the system, think about the patriarchy. How is that allowing you to lean into this problematic accommodation? Think about your family and the culture, how they're usually intertwined. How's your family, your background, allowing you to lean into some problematic accommodation? What about socially? How are your friends? What are your friends up to? What are they telling you? What are they in your chirping about? When you're around all your boys or your girls, what pressure are they leaning into you to accommodate? And internally, just yourself, you're around all these things. These things have affected you. So then you have now internal pressure. What are you internally pressuring yourself to accommodate that in your grounded self, you at your true self and who you are and what you value? Those internal pressures, those shoulds, those musts, those oughts, what are those telling you that you have to accommodate to and infringing on your values? Dating. You could be dating, you could be single, you could be in a committed relationship or just a committed long-term relationship. What is your partner or the people you are seeing? What are the partners in your life expectations forcing you to accommodate? And there's accommodation and there's compromise. I'm very much okay at compromise. My mom gave me this advice that if for marriage, if it isn't a yes for both, then it's a no for both. I forgot exactly how she said it, but pretty much if it's not a yes for both, it's a no. So that is compromise and there is accommodation. So how is the partner's expectations forcing you to accommodate that is infringing on your values? Not what are you compromising? Compromise is what is needed for relationships to rise. Friendships, relationships, and work, you need a compromise. But how is your partner's expectations infringing your values and forcing you to accommodate? Last phase of life. Whoever's listening to this podcast, whether you're a teen, whether you're a young adult going through college, young adult, older adult going through grad school, whether you're a middle adult trying to have children, thinking to get married, maybe kids are leaving the house, you're now an empty nester. What is this phase of life that you're going through that is forcing you to accommodate, forcing you to do things that don't infringe on your values? You think because you're in this phase of life, you have to accommodate, you have to be this. But that doesn't suit you. That doesn't feel comfortable. It's like a pair of pants. If it doesn't fit right, if it's not, if it's not buckling, if the belt's not buckling, baby, back out. A lot of B's. See the alliteration? If the belt's not buckling, back out. In this phase of life, where are you accommodating that doesn't fit your values? So let it sit with you. Where am I accommodating in the system, internally, socially, in this phase of life with my partner's expectations? Or is it my family or culture? Where am I leaning into this accommodation? Now, on to the critical thinking. I told you, leaving you with some critical thinking spots of the podcast so you can have the discussion with you, yourself, your partner, your parents, or whoever you may be listening to this podcast with. So the critical thinking spot for this podcast is first, when you accommodate, are you doing it from love, respect, or are you doing it from a end of fear or guilt? And when you are accommodating, are you doing it from love and respect or from fear and guilt? Next question. What message did you learn about accommodation growing up? Spoken or unspoken? So think about the people in your life, your mom, your dad, your aunts, uncles, teachers, Sunday school teachers, whoever, coaches. What messages did you learn about accommodation growing up? Spoken or unspoken? And with both of these questions, again, just have the awareness. Let the awareness float in the air and then receive whatever you want, parts of it, bits of it, pieces of it. And then talk about it later. Thank you again for listening. I'm the Modern Therapist, JD, and you're listening to a Modern Man podcast presented to you by the Modern Podcast Network and the Modern HQ.